think we're up here. We're up here. That light looks decent. This light looks decent. Let's see what's going on over here. It's a little stormy, a little rainy. I like it. It's cool weather. So, guys, before we dive into today's live broadcast, I wanted to take a few moments to notify you, if you weren't aware, and if you are aware already, get blogging questions from time to time, and bloggers looking for guidance. So I run a blog called bloggingfromparadise.com where I publish blog posts. I sell online courses for bloggers only through Gumroad and PayHip. And I also sell ebooks for bloggers and a couple, one inspirational one and one for digital nomad, long-term travel, just like my wife and I do. Again, through Gumroad and PayHip, no else. I'm not affiliated anywhere else. At bloggingfromparadise.com. So you could stop by my blog, take a look around. These are just helpful, simple guides, free and premium, to walk you along your blogging journey. And it's cool because it's all passive learning. See a lot of bloggers, they ask questions and they sit around and wait around. That's a waste of time. When you could just go to my blog, search for the answer, search for the course, search for the ebook, read the post, buy the course, buy the ebook, get your answers, and then you have the answers again and again and again. And that's what some of my customers do. They tell me explicitly, Ryan, I love that I keep going back to it every couple months, every year. The course, the ebook, listening, watching, reading, practicing, because we got to keep reintroducing, a lot of us, ourselves to the blogging fundamentals again and again in order for these ideas to seep into our unconscious minds and really get into the conscious as well. So this ties in nicely with the topic of today's live broadcast, because we're thinking, why would I change my blogging strategy radically? When would you change your blogging strategy radically? So I'm talking about a big shift where you're moving in what appears to be the opposite direction, far away from what you used to do. There is a direct answer that's simple, clear, to the point, and it is this, even if it's a bit uncomfortable to accept or embrace. The reason why you would change your blogging strategy radically is because your past strategy or current strategy, before you change it, stinks, reeks, oozes, drips with your fear, your belief in poverty, your belief in scarcity, your belief in loss, your belief in failure, your belief in running out of time, running out of readers, running out of opportunities. All these fears in your mind that are dominating your blogging decisions, hence your blogging strategies, your blogging actions, your blogging tactics, are the determinants that you need to change things radically. First at a level of thought, then at a level of feeling, and then at a level of action. So yes, your blogging strategy will change radically when you honestly admit that you've been blogging mainly from fear. Might be a little loud, guys, with rain, because we're getting some decent rain today. So it is what it is. In the background, when you've been blogging from fear, scarcity, loss, terror, guilt, grief, and you. That's why I'm pointing, guys, not to be accusatory, not to condemn, but you are the only one who can accept this truth. Because only you know what you're doing from fear. Other people may be able to notice it, but I shouldn't say only you know, because others will notice it. But you're the one who has to make the intimately personal decision to say, holy crap, I've just been blogging from fear and scarcity. I've been publishing one post every 3 months and then doing nothing else. That's a great example of blogging from deep fear, scarcity. The fear of, well, I'm wasting my time anyway, nobody's going to read. So that's a belief in poverty, where the ego jogs your mind back to the past and says, well, you did this work and you didn't get any traffic or income, so why bother? Welcome to fear. So when you start looking at that strategy, I'm going to write and publish a post every 3 months and do nothing else, do no offsite work, do no promotion. You'll say, yeah, that's got to change radically. And it doesn't mean necessarily at a level of action or form. And really, you don't want to off the bat. Like I said before, it's got to start happening with thoughts and feelings. Like, well, I'm doing all this blogging stuff. Another failed strategy. Let me publish 10 400 to 500 word thin posts a day that have the shelf life of milk sitting outside here on a 90-degree day under the sun in Costa Rica in the Central Highlands. That milk will rot really fast. They'll go south and those blog posts will disappear because there's no depth to them, but you did it because you're afraid of running out. You're afraid of not making money, afraid of not making money quickly enough. So the radical change could be, I got to face my fears here and start thinking and feeling more abundantly and relax. And then the radical shift could be, I'm going to publish one. I'm going to set aside 4 to 5 hours to write and publish one long form, detailed, thoroughly researched, properly optimized, properly formatted blog post weekly. It's a pretty radical shift from putting together 10 crap, mindless, hurried, rushed posts daily, isn't it? Yeah, setting aside 5 hours to patiently write one post to research it. Yeah, that's radical. And it's going to feel radical because you might have a lot of fears come up in your mind. You're wasting your time. Nobody's listening. Nobody's going to read this anyway. You need the money. And then all those thoughts and feelings in your mind, that's something called fear, my friends. And it's in your mind. So you'll have to face it and you'll have to say, yeah, I see what all these wise guides mean when they say that the change has to come from within. It has to start in your mind. And you'll still be moving into action, but the radical shift could be training your mind to be more and more mindful of when you're blogging from a peaceful, relaxed intent, and you become a lot more aware of when you're blogging from fear, terror, manipulation, force, trying to get something for nothing. Might even be doing the same thing, but the radical shift comes from within. So it could feel radically different when you've been writing and publishing a post a week and doing some offsite work, but it's been in a terror. Rush, push, hurry, get this done, get this done, get this done. 50 updates a day, 100 updates a day, 100 updates, 150 updates. I'm talking about social media and groups. And then you're like, wait a minute. Maybe like Ryan's doing today, I'm going to slow down and calm down and broadcast live. The intent would be 20 to 30 minutes. We'll see what happens. But maybe I'll want to broadcast live for 30 minutes like Ryan today on some pressing topic in my niche. Not only will it feel radically different to just relax and take my time, but I'll start seeing radically different results. That is, serious, committed readers are beginning to flock to my long form videos, then my blog, So instead of getting almost no traffic or traffic that bounces instantly, I'm starting to align with hungry, committed human beings who are serious, who set aside, who take the half hour to learn from me and then want to stop by my blog and spend an hour there. Reading posts, taking notes. Some of them buy my online courses, some of them buy my ebooks. Wow, that's radically different from running around like a headless chicken. It's all ultimately the feeling, but you'll start seeing what the radically different strategy changes. Only by facing your fears and seeing, oh man, I've been blocking music and fear and scarcity and loss in my mind. Then you'll start seeing slow but sure the results change. Like, oh, now I'm actually getting some loyal readers here, getting some customers, getting some clients. This is different. And it just takes time. Actually, it takes mindset, and then the time factor usually works in. But since your mind will be so much more calm because from the radical shift within, you won't be like starving or hungry for quality traffic, readers, customers, clients, because your mind will have shifted. It's all an inner shift, but on a level of form, guys, like strategy, that may change radically too. So let me give you a very practical example. I publish a number of detailed targeted posts to blogging tips themed groups because I run a blogging tips themed blog at bloggingfromparadise.com. Get some engagement over there, publish into a fair volume. Actually, the number's gone down a bit, but whatever. The volume of these groups, which is cool. And I largely look past these other updates, but I'm an admin in one group, so I just happen to see them and I check for valuable updates. And I'll see dozens and dozens of bloggers every day would need to make a radical shift in their blogging strategy to actually start building an asset through their blog and through their offsite content that frees them, that drives organic passive traffic. And they'll have to do it on their own by facing their own fears, and most would rather not look, rather punish themselves, struggle, fail, and quit because it's how the world is. Yet, there are people who are waking up and bloggers and seeing that this strategy of, and this is the strategy, guys, and this is just where there's the possibility for radical change. The current strategy of most bloggers in a lot of these groups is to just promote their business, to use hype, to use their successful business results, and to make personal promises. So writing their own reviews as the enticement to hire them or to buy their stuff. Some flaws there. The primary of which is, well, of course, it's coming from fear, so it's going to fall apart, go to custard. You're going to waste most of your day. It's going to be ineffective. One of the fundamental flaws is thousands of bloggers are doing the same exact thing every day to these groups, cumulatively. So let's say on one group, I just had another 15 updates in the back office that went right to spam. Right, most of them went right to spam, but a number that obviously I'm not going to approve. I'm only approving content because that's really what makes the money. But I went through and there's 15 updates and 3 different bloggers said the same exact thing in their ad. And you see, that's an idea of being a robot and listening to your unconscious fears and doing things that on a level of form make no sense. You're saying the same exact thing, making the same personal promises. Like, why would somebody hire you? You're not proving that you know what you do. You're bragging. And you're doing the same thing. The radical shift for these individuals, those who have eyes to see and ears to hear, would be, in fact, abandoning that strategy and taking their time and energy learning their craft inside out, publishing detailed, targeted, helpful content to their blogs and to highly targeted spots on social media, which solves common problems in their blogging niche, aka this live broadcast. Doing this consistently from a very calm mind, which then draws people who find immense value in those updates, if you're working on site and off site, to the updates, to your blog, to follow your blog loyally, to buy your stuff and to hire you, to become customers and clients. And it is a long process, but it's the only way that leads to building an asset, freedom of time, freedom of location, peace of mind. So to use that long period of time to do anything else is insane. Okay? Well, it takes a long time, right? Well, the other strategy doesn't work. So during that long period of time, you could do this insane thing where you trade time for money. And you reach out to 50 to 100 to 500 strangers a day. And you waste all that time reaching out to people who don't want or need what you have to offer. Does that sound sane? Does that sound like a good use of a long period of time? No, it doesn't, Ryan. Thank you, young blogging Padawan. And I'm just playing with you guys a little bit here because we have to laugh at our insanity from time to time. Because if we take it seriously, we believe that it's the only way to do things, the insane way, then you'll waste your life doing stupid crap that wastes your time. And it's only because of you not willing to look into your fears. And yeah, it would be a radical shift. Oh, I spent 10 hours a day posting all the same ads, personal promises, bragging about my business, spamming people's updates with this, like doing all these insane things. And now I'm going to take those 10 hours and learn how to build, to create detailed targeted content on site and off site. That's a radical shift. But if one's insane and the other's sane, you really got to start thinking, yeah, crap, I've just been trading time for money, and every penny I've made is based on me posting these generic ads where I hype myself. Yeah, that's not an asset. That's me trading 10 hours of today, wasting time trying to get people who don't want or have what I have to offer and convince them to hire me. Getting blocked on social media, emails going, yeah, that's kind of insane. If I could spend that 10 hours building something that does that work for me while I'm doing other work, of course, that's an asset. That sounds sane. So I could create something that brings the customers and clients to me passively and organically. Oh, yeah. You got to keep creating it. So I'm not saying that you'll stop. You may eventually when you just publish an incredible amount and you're driving organic passive traffic through channels, social media, Google. You probably still keep creating because it's fun to help people, and it's fun to know the truth. And then all that content will be all over the place over the long haul because you'll have spent it sanely and wisely, which keeps drawing in loyal readers, customers, and clients around the clock. Voila, welcome to being something called an entrepreneur who builds an asset that works for you. That was a big radical shift because you may have been not doing the entrepreneur thing. You may have been doing the glorified employee thing of let me trade time for money here and let me trade every single waking moment of my day spamming my business with personal promises. It's a radical shift. But then you'll see that, well, you're only doing that because you're terrified and you believe in loss and scarcity. That's people who don't build assets that trade. There's a control issue here too. I have to keep doing work to get. I have to keep doing work to be good enough. I have to keep pushing and chase these numbers. Hustle, push, mindless, robot. No. We don't do this at Blogging from Paradise. That's why there is such a heavy mindset component in every single thing that I virtually publish. Maybe not everything, but most of my ebooks that I've written, the rich PDF guides that I sell through Gumroad and PayHip, they're really in depth. There's a lot of steps. There's a lot of tips because that's what it takes to thrive. And there is a mindset component. Even one of my courses, how to get featured on world famous blogs, that I sell through my blog, you'll see it in the courses tab or the store tab. The first step, guys, is you really got to have fun. And my other course too that I sell through there, you got to start off with fun. The mindset, the energy, the intent, the inner attitude. Because if you're not having fun, it means you're afraid. You're doing it from scarcity, outside motivators, popularity numbers, income numbers. You keep looking outside. Oh, there's nothing here. Of course there's nothing here. You're not even skilled. You don't even know what you're doing. There's nothing here. Screw it. Let me push harder. There's nothing here. Screw it. Let me push harder. There's nothing here. Screw it. Let me push harder. I quit. And I've seen this process happen tens of thousands of times since 2008 when I began blogging. I went through it myself a few times. Not that I quit. I was like, man, what is... And I'm like, I got to get really clear on the intent, mindset, fun. But at a level of form, that strategy change, the action change from mindlessly copying and pasting a bunch of ads and putting them on Twitter for your business or Facebook or LinkedIn or all three and other sites to calmly learning how to write a blog post effectively. Effective blog posts, successful blog posts. Researching, formatting a blog post, and setting aside the hours to actually do it. Yeah, that's radically different. It's a very different skill to learn how to be truly helpful, to truly help people with detail and depth, and to target than to go ad, advertise. Yeah. So it's going to be uncomfortable. A lot of fear is going to come up, and I'm here to invite you to feel that stuff and to keep doing the same thing of changing your strategy radically if it needs to. And it's only going to be because you've been terrified and you've been doing ineffective. Even if you've had worldly success, like some folks that pitch incredible amounts of people and they drive customers and clients, you're going to eventually see that you are losing and you will lose because you're wasting all this time reaching out to human beings who don't want what you have, don't need it. At my peak, in a sense, they've removed some, but I had backlinks from Neil. Well, now I still have neilpatel.com and I think Entrepreneur, but at my peak, I had them from Forbes and just Time Elements where they've removed them. But Richard Branson's Virgin blog, Entrepreneur, neilpatel.com, johnchow.com, ProBlogger, Smart Blogger, Pause. I mean, it's just these like high level. And then I had everyday bloggers just say, I could give you backlinks. And I'm like, no, you can't. So that's someone who's blogging from a state of unconscious terror and conscious fear too, that's wasting their time. I'm pretty much a vegetarian these days. I guess I am. I would say that because I haven't eaten meat in a very long time, and my wife's been for a long time. So if somebody kept telling me we have these free coupons to a Brazilian steakhouse, back when I did eat meat, there's a steakhouse in the city called Plataforma, Churrascaria, whatever. So we have these tickets, $50 usually it is per person. Phenomenal place. This is a long time ago, decades ago. We have these free tickets to Plataforma. Why don't you? I have them. Why don't you? You didn't do your homework, dingbat. I'm a vegetarian, and so is my wife. And maybe not dingbat. That's nice, but it's unintelligent. Yet you see bloggers waste their careers doing this all day long. So yeah, I got all these people. It works. It's like it doesn't really work because you wasted 8 hours reaching out to people who didn't want or need what you have to offer, and you also burn through emails. Don't worry, you'll get blocked. They'll go to spam. You'll burn through social media. You're screwing yourself. It's because you're not facing your fears that's scaring you into doing unintelligent things, wasting your time. I remember my wife was part of a coaching program for a while, and she extracted some nuggets from it, but it was like high level, big ticket, as the world would judge it, coaching and how to land these clients. And there's some aspects of it that are very helpful, but one of the fundamentals of this course, which is such a flaw, was to waste your time. Spend your time reaching out to all types of people with no qualifier, no vetting, and to try to convince them that you're good enough and you're skilled enough. That's fear. That's stupidity. It makes no sense. That program may have had some worldly success, but imagine the resistance these people create for themselves. Why don't you just create the content that brings them to you while you're sleeping or while you're circling the globe? Why don't you create an asset? Why don't you help them up front to vet them? That's a radical shift. To give them vetting, we're like, hey, this guy knows what the hell he's talking about. If you're watching me on X, on Twitter, it'll be Twitter, or on YouTube or on Facebook, you're like, yeah, I feel like this guy knows what he's talking about. And maybe if he wasn't from northern New Jersey, talking about coffee, ball, dog. So then you may say, I could really use some blogging guidance and some blogging, whatever that is too. So I'm going to stop by his blog because he's proven to me that he knows his stuff on some level. And then you stop by bloggingparadise.com, you're like, whoa, this guy's published hundreds and hundreds of detailed posts on blogging tips. And I put some travel ones in there too. So these are vetting mechanisms. So then they're like, oh, well, I could use a course for bloggers. Yeah, I don't know what I'm doing. Let me buy his. I could use an ebook and an in-depth guide. Yeah, here's the 20, here's the 10. Boom. Let me buy. Because he proved to me he knew what the hell he was talking about through free content that was detailed, in depth. He developed his skills. That's smart. That's intelligent. That's building an asset that works for me. So after this video, if I go have lunch, everything that I've created will keep working with me. Working for me. While I enjoy walking around the forest here in Costa Rica. Assets, entrepreneurs build assets that work for them. And that's probably going to be a radical shift because you're probably not thinking about building assets that work for you around the clock. Or maybe if you are, you've been really afraid to scale. And there could be a radical shift here. You could go from maybe publishing detailed targeted content, one post a week and not doing much else. You're doing a little offsite work to really ramping up your offsite scale. Setting aside a half hour, 45 minutes a day, 15 minutes a day to broadcasting live on some pressing topic or every few days. I'm not saying that's the answer, but that will be radically different. And then guess what comes up with live videos, guys? Fear for most. I hate how I look. I'm afraid how I look. I hate how I sound. I'm afraid how I sound. I'm afraid of looking like an idiot. I'm afraid of somebody criticizing me. Bingo. Where do you think your blog's going to go if all those fears are in your unconscious? Well, my friends, you will do things to hide away. That's called struggling. You will not scale if you're afraid that succeeding means a lot of people showing up to criticize you. Think. And why I'm saying think, I'm saying that for this radical shift that's sometimes required. Because if you don't think, your unconscious will just call the shots and you'll be like, no. And you start thinking, the light bulb goes off and you're like, oh, crap. I need to change things big time. I need to get serious about getting off site. I've been really afraid. Bingo. Been really afraid to be criticized. Really afraid to have someone show up and disagree with you, disprove you in the world, criticize you, disagree with you. And then when you get honest with that, you're like, oh, let me feel it and forgive it, look past it. Okay, it's time to start changing things. And sometimes it'll be subtle, other times radical. Guys, I could sit here for 30 minutes and broadcast live, peacefully, calmly, with real knowledge to share wisdom, 16 years of blogging wisdom, with confidence, clarity, some may say with charisma. All right, I'm very relaxed. My first video, talk about radical change, the practice, the thousands of hours and just facing fear and all stuff. I could present this to you. My first video, I did 35 takes. This is back before live broadcasting, 2008. I did 35 takes. And you know how most people, when I'm making fun, but it is, you just know how the shortness of breath. A lot of people say, I start getting shortness of breath. That's fear. That's fear. Welcome. Unconscious fear. Or they look right. They're not natural. There's so much fear and tension. They act like if they move their head to the centimeter to the left or right or up and down, they'll be like the character from Total Recall. Ready for a surprise. Boom. Old Total Recall. Arnold. So just poking a little fun, but you get it, guys. When most people start broadcasting live for the first time, some don't have the fear and they're quite relaxed and natural. A lot of people have all types of fears. So it's a radical shift for me. If you would have seen my first, not even the first couple videos, but the 35 takes where I'd say a few things. I'm like, I sound stupid, I look stupid. And then you have this. So it's a radical shift on a level of form and strategy and skills. And then you have those with the sleeping mind. They'll figure it out eventually. Like, oh, you're such a natural, Ryan. You're so gifted and talented. Well, if you do something for 16 years straight, you'll get better at it too. Such a natural with your writing. You have a way with words. And I appreciate that. But the only reason I have a way with words is because I've typed for 10,000 plus hours. So you do something for 10,000 plus hours, you get very good at it. Most bloggers, they do it for 5. Or they do it for 100. Like, I've been blogging for 3 years. And I'm like, have you really? Or have you just owned your domain and hosting for 3 years? 2 very different things, because some bloggers say they've been blogging for 3 years, but they've handed their credit card over and they might blog for 5 hours a year, maybe for 20. They write a post and they just sit there, and not condemning or mocking, but it's true. All right. And you're not going to make a radical shift by lying to yourself about your fears, by obscuring the truth, by saying, yeah, I've been doing this for this long. How many thousands of hours you've been following only advice from experienced professionals? I've been doing that. You have a radical shift to make, my friend. You have radical changes. You're probably winging it, blogging about what's on your mind. You're just going to experiment. And I've come across folks, and you see the ego knows no bounds to its stupidity. I'm talking about the ego, not the individual. But I explain you really want to follow advice from someone who knows what they're doing and not experiment, because you'll waste your time with experimenting because you have no idea what you're doing. You're brand new to it. That's why doctors do not sit online and say, I'm going to wing this. Or offline, you're like, I'm just going to wing it. Well, being a blogger doesn't require the amount of information, acquirement, knowledge, depth, of course, of being a doctor, but it does require a lot. And if you want proof, look at how many bloggers screw up, fail, and quit. You know what the hell they're doing. And look at the professionals' experience. They seem so rare. And they're the ones that follow advice from professionals that didn't wing it. So that would be an example of like, oh crap, there's going to be a radical shift. I have to actually learn how to do this. I came across someone, experienced internet marketer, who's the first 6 months of his career, he just learned. I'm not saying that's required, but think of that. And then everything appeared to take off for him so quickly because he learned for 6 months. Think of that level of posture and that level of, it's radical. But then when he's getting 5,000, 10,000 likes organically on Instagram years ago, or the videos that we're doing together, we were getting 100,000 organic views without any optimizing, thousands of likes to 2 or 3 dislikes. Yeah, that's 6 months. That's radical. 6 months, most people won't learn anything about blogging or internet marketing. He spent 6 months. So he just had immense clarity. And this is the point, guys. You may need to, and we'll wrap it up in a few, but you may need to make a radical shift with your campaign, with your blogging campaign, when you realize, man, I've been doing most things from fear, blogging from fear. My strategy is based on fear and scarcity and running out. Now I got to shift, and like Ryan said, to the young blogging Padawans out there. It starts with your thinking, then with your feeling, then with the action. And you got to get into your fears, because then it'll start making sense. You'll be like, oh, why have I been winging it or experimenting when I could just buy one of Ryan's courses and ebooks and start doing what he did and start succeeding? Or what other students, what other acolytes, winking, blogging from paradise, brand, loyal followers, minions, winking, loyal fans, customers. bloggers, like, yeah, they're having success with it. I'm going to start doing that. I'm not going to do it my own way. I'm not going to wing it. That's stupidity. And trust me, guys, the voice in your mind called the ego wants you to be stupid. It wants you to be an idiot. It wants you to spam people and waste all your time. And then you could punish yourself. Or you could be like, I'll prove it. Don't buy its BS, man. It's insane. So you really don't want to go down the path of insanity. You want to make the radical shift. So, guys, that's it for today. Stop by bloggingparadise.com. Another thing, too, guys, feel free to use my inbox. I do check all private messages. I can't check all replies and responses because I have a life. But just if you have any questions about blogging, send me. There's 2 steps. Find my private inbox on the network and message. And they're open on Twitter and on Facebook, too. I check people who aren't following me or don't have the connection. I check them all. So, but ultimately, the wisest choice, radical shift now, it's pretty radical. The world judges it. Stop on my blog and answer your question. Type in a keyword, look at a course, look at an ebook, check it out. If it resonates with you, pull the trigger, buy it, and start studying, reading, watching, listening. Read some blog posts, take notes, study, watch, listen. A lot of these strategies that I share, they're fundamentals. All of them are pretty much based on the fundamentals, timeless, evergreen, but they will seem radical compared to this world because a lot of stuff that goes on in the world's a little not too hot. It's a lot of self-sabotage built in there. So that's it for today, guys. Much love. Good morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever around the world. Until next time, enjoy paradise, my friends.